And it is a time for a sweet workshop on homeschool transcripts, which are as yummy as lollipops or cupcakes or candy or, even a latte. So let me ask you, are you a little bit nervous about transcripts, or maybe you're scared or terrified or confident or determined? And I have been in all of those places. And my name is Lee Benz, and I'm the home scholar. And my mission is to help you homeschool high school. And today, what that means is encourage you with sweet treats to get your transcript done and give you all of the information that you need to make your transcript fantastic for your child. So, this is my end of the year transcript workshop party. And I would love to say hello to everybody. So, if you could just chime in and tell me where you're joining us from, and maybe a little bit about yourself, that would be fantastic. I will put my lollipop away because I don't intend to eat it, actually. So we are doing our end of the year transcript workshop today. And I want to say hi, Whitney in Washington, and Jennifer in Texas, North Carolina, Melissa and Michelle, hi. Bethany from Arizona, Haley from San Antonio, Amanda from North Carolina. Boy, we are getting people from everywhere, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Hi, Lorraine and Rosie. Good to see you guys. So listen, we are going to get started in 1 minute, but I want to make sure that you have your workbook. Here's what the workbooks looks like today. So make sure that you grab your workbook. And if you have pen, workbook, coffee, maybe water, I'm drinking water that is dressed up as coffee today. And so that's all that you're going to need to get this all figured out. And we're going to get that transcript so ready to go. And it looks like it is time for us to start. So let's get started, okay? Thank you for joining me at my end of the year transcript workshop. This is going to be a fun time. We're going to get a ton accomplished. And so I would love for you to continue to share where you're from, like Carrie from Wisconsin and Janae from Georgia and Jessica from Idaho. Welcome, everybody. I'm Lee from Seattle, Washington. I do have a thank you gift for everybody who is here today, and I have a book of record keeping samples for you. And so, with the record keeping samples, it will give you an example of a transcript by subject by year, an example of a course description, and an example of the reading list. And what you do is you take the tiny URL that's on your screen right here, and you write that in your workbook, and then you'll be able to download it last time. Okay? So now, though, is time for you to turn off your phone and pay attention. You know how you always tell your kids to put your phone down and pay attention? Well, that's kind of what I'm telling you guys right now. So let's make sure that we can get this job done, okay? We're going to get that transcript figured out. Okay, everybody should have the workbook now. Let's get started. My name is Lee Benz, and I'm the home scholar. And I know that you may feel anxious right now or lack the motivation that it requires to get your transcript done. And that's what I'm here for. I'm going to give you all the information you need to make a fantastic transcript, plus the motivation to actually get it done. And this class is perfect for you if you have a high school student, or you need to make a transcript, or you think somebody mentioned transcript at one time and you need to get the job done. I will tell you, every year I get calls from very sad parents who didn't do it in a timely way and are now really struggling. They're up against a wall, trying to get it done. And it's just a whole lot more difficult after homeschooling has ended. So I really want you to make sure that you get it done today. Now, do stay for the whole workshop, though. We are going to be giving you an offer for the total transcript solution. But after I do that, it only takes about 5 minutes, maybe. Then I will be answering all of your questions, and you'll have plenty of time to get your questions answered today. The link, Daisy says she couldn't find the link for the workbook and email. You should find it on the offers section if you're inside the webinar. If you're lost in any way, I do have staff members that are handling the chat on my website as well. So if you go to Home High School Help, then you should be able to see that. Okay, so I will be answering lots of your questions at the end. If you don't hear anything, that's probably because your phone is on mute. All right, we are also going to be giving an exclusive workshop bonus, the high school mini conference. Lots of other goodies if you decide to purchase. But just remember, I'm bringing a gift to everybody today, no purchase necessary, and that is the record keeping samples. I want to encourage everybody to do a good job and get it done now. So make sure when class is over that you grab your copy of record keeping samples. All you need to do right now, though, is just write down the tiny URL, okay? Tiny URL / RK samples. Sounds like record keeping samples. Just write that down. And then when you type it into your browser later, it will pop up and you'll be able to get that, okay? All right, so here's what you're going to learn today. We're going to talk about how to make an official transcript, what to include, what is optional, grades and credits, how you add the delicious details that are going to make it really shine so they get the best job, the best scholarships, the best college admission offers. And you're going to get clear instructions for how to put it together. And there will be plenty of time to ask questions at the end. Okay, so I think we're all set up, and let's just chat over coffee or, water in a Starbucks mug. Okay, my name is Lee Benz, and I've been where you are. I homeschooled my 2 children from the time they were in 3rd and 5th grade all the way through high school graduation. My children are 30 now. They're very happy that they homeschooled. They're very pleased with the education that they received. Both of my boys got full tuition scholarships to their first choice university, a Christian school. And so they graduated debt free. And if I can homeschool high school, as fearful as I was, with as many tears as I shed, I know that you can be successful too. And I'm not the only one. Mandy, she made her transcript. She took this class. She said this class made her confident so that she could make a professional transcript that was unique to her student. And Shelley made her transcript. She said she knew it would be professional, and then the college that she submitted it to held it up as a shining example from other homeschoolers, which is big encouragement, isn't it? And then there's Yvonne. She said that she was applying to a Reach University for her student. She labeled it official homeschool transcript, and her child was granted the presidential scholarship based on the records. And they're waiting for news on a full tuition scholarship as well. Rachel had huge success as well. I love this story. The college said, "You made this. This is incredible. This is one of the best transcripts I've seen." And her child was offered the equivalent of a full tuition scholarship. So I hope that you are ready to be an expert on making transcripts as well. Let's get started and dive in to how do you make a transcript that is official. Okay. So first of all, I want you to understand that when I get to the next slide, all of the answers that go in your workbook are actually going to be underlined on the screen. So I don't want to stress anybody out. Okay. This is like an open book test where I tell you the answers as we go. Okay. So everybody's going to get an A by the time we're done. Okay. So how do you make it official? Are you ready? This is super complicated, and I hope that you have your abacus ready because it's going to require some major addition. Ready? Here's how you do it. You write official on the top. What? It's true. You write official homeschool transcript. Remember, we just shared a story about a mom who did that, and it was successful. That is the solution to making it official. Hey, Matt, if we have a lot of echoing, it could be that they're hearing me through your speakers. Okay.
So I want you to mute the headset.
Mute the headset. There you go. Okay, we're muting the headset. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. All right, so you write official on the transcript. I do like the words official homeschool transcript. I think it sounds great. Now let's talk about how do you make it professional, okay? Again, super complicated. I hope you are sitting down, okay? How do you make it professional? Well, you be a professional and you make it look professional. Okay, how do you be a professional? Well, you take classes on how to homeschool high school. You take classes on how to be a better home educator. Literally, that is what you're doing right now. Okay, so I'm here to tell you, all of you are professional. You've got the first one handled, nailed down. Okay. Second of all, how do you make it look professional? You take classes like this on how to make a transcript look professional. Okay, so you're going to be able to do both of these to make it professional. You are a professional, you are acting professionally right now, and you will make it look professional because you are taking this class right now. All right, so I'm absolutely sure you can get that done. All right, next thing is let's talk about accreditation. All right, this part is not so much hard as it is mind-blowing. All right, accreditation is not necessary. This is the part where I blow your mind, okay? There are unaccredited public schools across the country, okay? Now, I want you to raise your hand if your local high school is accredited. Yes? No? Or I don't know. Funny story, I spent a gallon of time trying to figure out whether my local public high school was accredited. It was not listed anywhere. I had to do a lot of research. It took me months, okay, literally. And I found out it was accredited. I also found out it had a 46% graduation rate. Okay. Now, there are unaccredited public schools and unaccredited private schools. I didn't know. You don't know, right? Let me give you one state, for example. In the state of Florida, okay, anybody here from Florida? In Florida, 60% of public schools are accredited. That means 40% of public schools are not accredited in Florida. In Florida, 1/3 of private schools are not accredited. So when we talk about accreditation not being necessary, I am not kidding, because anybody that's in public school in Florida can go to college, right? So can your child. Colleges understand that there are unaccredited public and private schools. They treat unaccredited homeschoolers the same way that they treat unaccredited public school kids. By the way, I wanted to mention the watermark here on the slide. This is one of the official watermarks that you can get with the Total Transcript solution. My artist Robin made it, and I just think it's so cute, so pretty. Okay, so is accreditation, yes, necessary? Everybody chime in on chat, yes or no. Is accredited necessary? All right, no, right? Freaky. All right. Now, let's talk about what are the ingredients of an official transcript. If it's just writing official on top, that's one thing, but you need to kind of know what's included. All right. So here's what is normally included on a transcript. It has a title and a header that says like the name of the school and that this is their official transcript. You can name your school something if you want to. You don't have to. That is completely optional. Just make sure it's not a goofy name. Okay. My husband and I always joke that we were going to call our school name was going to be Our Lady of Perpetual Whining. Little too goofy, not super professional. don't do that. But I mean, you can name it if you want to. I chose not to. So the name of my high school was Homeschool High School. Okay. Um, so that's what I chose. You do need to have the graduation date that is required by national law. You do need class titles so they know what was taught. You need grades so that they know your GPA. You need credits so they can calculate the GPA. You need a grading scale. That doesn't mean that you refer to it on a daily basis, but just that you thought it through. And I do recommend that you have a cumulative GPA. You do not need to have a GPA for each quarter or for each set of classes. You don't necessarily need to have the end date for each class. However, when you get to the optional recommended, I do recommend that you put completion dates on each class. The reason for that is that while it is required by law that we have the graduation date, the way that some schools read that law is that that means you have to have a date for each class. It's not what the law says, but we're trying to make it easier for the person reading our transcript so that they will feel like we know what we're doing. You can also add an activity list, an abbreviated activity list. Chess club, 9, 10, 11, 12. Church youth group, 9, 10, 11, 12. Dual enrollment, grade 12, something like that. Very abbreviated. That gives a very full picture of your child. And so if all they have time for is 2 minutes to look at one transcript, you get the biggest bang for your buck. I do recommend that you include test scores if your child got a good test score. And I do recommend that you add a signature line where you sign and date the transcript. You can be home educator, you can be homeschool administrator. It doesn't matter what you call yourself. Probably not mommy, not daddy. Okay, something professional. Now, let's go over what is optional, but usually not recommended. Okay. You do not need to have it notarized with a notary signature. Very few colleges will ask for that. If they ask, go ahead and do it. It's not, breaking the 10 commandments or anything. Go ahead. But you don't usually need to include that. By the way, if you do need it signed by a notary, you have to sign the paper in front of the notary. You can't sign it in advance. Optional is to cite your state law, the state homeschool law, to say that you were homeschooling legally. A watermark like the one pictured here. Robin again made quite a few watermarks for me. I'm really happy with how they look. Resume paper, optional. Weighting grades is very optional. It is something that I usually do not recommend. It makes your life harder. It makes it more complicated for colleges. I just don't think it's necessary. So don't do it because it adds to your workload. If they request it, go ahead. It's not breaking the 10 commandments again. Okay. And then a GPA for each grade level, like a GPA in 9th or 10th or 11th or 12th. Not necessary. I see schools do it from time to time. Not all schools do it. Again, I feel like it's something that increases your workload for no real benefit. And I'm all about making it easier for you. Okay. All right. Now we're going to move on to part 2, which is how to calculate grades and credits. We're on the top of page 3 in the workbook. I hope you're following along. For those of you who are wondering the red in here, that's because I have the answer key. Okay. So let's jump into grades and credits. Now, remind me again, are you a professional home educator? Yes or no? Are you professional? Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Because why? You're here. Okay, good. All right, let's go over credits first. Now, let me explain. You only need one of these things to be true in order to have a whole credit. Here's what a credit means. It means about 120 to 180 hours of work when the child is high school age, which when you break it down, that means about 1 hour a day they worked on calculus or viola. Okay. It means about 5 hours per week doing their Bible study, Bible work. Or it means that they completed a whole textbook. Completed means 75 to 80% done. It means that you have too many hours to count, right? Just way too many hours to count. And then it also could mean that you have one whole class by dual enrollment. One whole class by dual enrollment. Okay. Now, there are some exceptions, of course. Let's say you are giving your child the equivalence of a technical high school. Sometimes they will have internships that are worth 3 credits, but generally speaking, it's either 1 credit or a half a credit. So let me explain what a half a credit looks like. Okay. A half a credit means your child has worked about 60 to 75 hours or more, but not enough for a whole credit. Or they worked for half an hour a day, or about 2 to 3 hours a week for most of the school year. Or maybe it means that they worked for 5 hours per week, but for only half a year. Or if they used a textbook that says semester, right, or curriculum that says semester, or if they've done a dual enrollment college class that was super, super small, like a 1 or 2 credit college class, you only go to school like 1 day a week, right? So it's going to be about a half a credit for high school. And I don't recommend that you make any class less than a half a credit. Even things like driver's ed in public high school, even that is going to be a half a credit class, even though it doesn't require a whole lot of hours. Okay. So let's jump in and talk about grades. How do you calculate completely accurate grades when you are a loving parent who wants your child to succeed? Well, it's not about giving tests, it's about evaluating. So, what I want to do is to show you what an A means, whether that is an A for PE or an A for this English paper, or it's an A for piano, or it's an A on economics research. Okay, how do you know? Well, an A actually means mastery, but it does not mean perfection. Okay, it doesn't mean 100%. It means that they understand. An A means that your child has met your high expectations. You have high expectations when somebody calls you a mean mom, or wow, that's a lot, or are you sure you're not demanding too much? They only have to meet your high expectations. They don't have to do more than you could hope for or even imagine. All right. An A means they have high test scores, either standardized test scores or like the SAT or ACT, or they took a test in math and got high test scores. An A means the child loves the subject. So they're just kind of doing it because they like it. Acoustic guitar or economics. I talk about economics a lot because my son literally learned economics for fun, and we're not really sure whose child he is, but he does that. Okay. A grade of A means that the parent is not annoyed um, because they were pretty cooperative with that particular subject. They kind of did what you wanted, they kind of performed well, they kind of understand it. Okay. So that's how you know it's worth a grade of A. So let's talk about a B. A grade of B means it's pretty good, but you're absolutely sure that it's not worth an A. If you compared them with public school kids, you're not saying, well, they probably would have gotten an A in public school, because that would be an unfair advantage for public schoolers, right? You're absolutely sure they wouldn't get an A. A grade of B means that the parent is annoyed, maybe frustrated. I'll give you an example in my own life. My son Kevin, I say this every time, and it just bothers me every time I say it. My son Kevin thought it would be really funny to do his biology lab report in yellow pencil on white paper. And I was seriously annoyed, and I did give him a B. And I'll tell you what, it is still in his comprehensive record. I've got that right here. I should show you sometime what the grade of B, and I'll say it's right here. I'm still mad about it. Okay, that's what a grade of B is. A parent is somewhat annoyed. Okay, a grade of C means it was just pretty horrible. Actually, it was no good at all. You're annoyed, you're disappointed. But here's the difference, okay, between this and, say, failure. All right. A grade of C means you did it and it was terrible, but you went on to the next level. American history, I did it. It was terrible. Next year, we are not doing that co op. Next year, we are moving on to something else instead, because that was not the way to teach my child. Okay. Let me give you a common example using things that all students love doing, which is math. Okay. Let me tell you the story. You ready? Once upon a time, there was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad math, and it was called Algebra 1. Mom was annoyed. Mom was disappointed. Dad was ready to blow a gasket. But you decided that next year you were going to move on to geometry anyway. And that is how you know that it was a grade of C. Okay. Now, a grade of D or below is not usually recommended, with very few examples. There are some situations where you cannot change the grade. If your child took a class, the public high school, and they got a D, you can't change that. But generally speaking, when you're homeschooling, you can. If your child is getting a D, you can decide, are we going to review? Are we going to repeat? Are we going to replace? Are we going to reteach? Are we going to buy new curriculum? Are we going to get a different class? Are we going to say this is not required? We are not doing it this year. We can withdraw, right? So that's all of the options. All right, so grades and credits. I have a question to ask. Was that painful to hear? Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay. I generally think it's not terribly painful to talk about grades and credits once you realize that you don't need tests. It's a lot easier. All right. Now we're going to talk about how to add delicious details to the transcript that are going to make your child look great. I know that your child has fantastic strengths and probably some, dare I say, fairly annoying weaknesses. Okay. But it doesn't matter what your child's strengths and weaknesses are. You can make their transcript look delicious to the colleges and the employers that are going to be looking at it. These are the things that are going to make your child shine, make your transcript look fantastic, your student well educated. They will earn great job offers and big scholarships. Okay. This is how that's going to change everything for you. Okay. And Gina says, this is giving me comfort that I'm doing okay. You are doing okay, Gina. All right. So first, let's talk about why. Why are we adding these delicious details? We're on part 3 of the workbook, the bottom of page 3. It's because every child looks fantastic in black and white. And these details are the things that are going to make your child look great. Okay. Details make a normal kid look great on the transcript. So, what are those delicious details? Okay. Well, the first one is that you can add early high school credits. Now, these are classes that might be taken before high school, but they're actually high school level. Now, it's normally reserved for math, that is Algebra 1 or higher, science, that is high school biology or more advanced, and foreign language, when you're using a high school curriculum. There is like elementary age curriculum out there, and that would not count. The other exceptions are if you're doing a college level class or a high school only level class, like you sign your child up for a co-op class in English and it's intended just for high schoolers, right? Yeah, then that would be an example of early high school credit. It's super helpful for gifted children that are ahead of things. But when you add those early high school credits, you're exceeding expectations with your young gifted child, and that will help them. Number two, you add classes that are taken outside the home. You see, your transcript is the clearinghouse, the summary of all of home education, the classes that are taken in the house, the classes that are taken outside the house. Now, when you're adding classes outside the home, the first thing you have to do is ask, does that class or school give an actual transcript? You're not asking if they give a grade or a report card. That's different. Do they give a transcript? If they give you a transcript, you cannot modify those classes, right? Because they're providing the transcript, not you. You're just putting that onto your transcript as well. So it shows a summary of all of education. But it's different when it's just at a co op, whether that is an in person co op or an online class that is essentially a co op class. If they're not giving a transcript, then their grades are really just a serving suggestion, and you can modify them as you want to. So, by including school information on your homeschool transcript, you're giving that handy summary. It's sort of like if a child moved from one school district to another school district, where they finally end up has all of the high school classes the child has ever taken, right? So that is essentially what you're doing as well. The next thing you do is you add dual enrollment classes. And those are the classes that are taken at a college, either in person or online. A dual enrollment class, when you have one whole college class, that is equivalent to one whole high school class. Okay. Let me say it this way: if your area considers a whole high school class to be one credit, as most do, then that means that if your college is you're having your child take a college class and it's like a 3, 4, 5, 6 credit college class, that is equivalent to one whole high school credit. You see, college classes measure credits completely differently than high school classes. A college credit is different than a high school credit, and so you have to kind of convert it. But the bottom line is one whole college class equals one whole high school class. It just goes like 3 times faster. Okay. The next thing that you do to make your transcript shine is to add delight directed learning. This is where you get fantastic, unique electives. You are unlimited in the electives that you're choosing for your classes. So you're looking for academic sounding titles for your classes. So, for example, you might say guitar with performance, but the class title would not be heavy metal freaks. That wrong, wrong. Okay. So it could be an elective like music, right? Or it could be a core subject that's delight directed learning, like history. I've already confessed my child had a lot of electives in economics, which is essentially a social studies class. So it's okay to have different delight directed learning classes every year, and they can be repeated every year. I've done a lot of crazy amounts of research. It's kind of embarrassing how much research I've done. And it seems like the common phrase is for electives, this class may be repeated for up to 1 credit per year. So whether that is culinary art or cake decorating or jewelry making or crochet or PE or taekwondo, this class may be repeated for up to 1 credit per year. All right. So core classes or electives. The next thing is to add activities. Okay. So it's not double dipping to have one experience be a class and an activity. Those are not double dipping. It's double dipping when you say, this singing my child does is going to be called voice and choir. That's double dipping. That's wrong. But to say, let me say it this way. When I was in public high school, I was a member of the Bellevue High School concert choir. Okay. And so every year on my transcript, it said choir 1 credit, grade A, choir 1 credit, grade A. Every single year of high school, 4 credits, choir, 1 credit, 4 credits total in choir. On my activity list, it said that I was a member of the Bellevue High School concert choir for grades 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now, this was on my public school transcript. It is not double dipping to have something be a class and an activity. So, one of the things that you can do to make your transcript delicious is to look at your activity list and say to yourself, wow, is that a class that I missed? Look, my child is doing taekwondo all the time and I don't have any PE. I better put that on the transcript, right? And then you go backwards, right? You look at your transcript classes. Oh, it says choir, but I didn't mention choir on the activity list. I better do that. Okay. So that's how you add activities. Now, the next thing you do is you make sure to give grades for every class, whether it's a core subject or an elective, whether it's delight directed learning or instructed by you or somebody else, whether your child is taking it with tests or without tests, you still have grades on every single one. Now, you don't have to turn into a test making machine. I myself was not a test making machine. I used tests in only half of my homeschool. The other half did not. I think it was math, science, and foreign language was pretty much where I used tests. So social studies didn't have tests, and English did not have tests, right? So what you want to do then is to estimate grades like I taught you in the last section. Even without tests, those are official, correct, responsible grades to put on your transcript. Now, make sure that you're including natural learning. And in the process of doing that, you want to allow natural evaluation. Um, you know, let's use sweet treats, for example. Your child is doing culinary art. You don't necessarily need to give your child a test in skills in baking if you don't want to. You can simply taste the cupcake, and that is natural evaluation and perfectly acceptable way to evaluate your children. All right, the next delicious thing to add is the classes that are currently in process. It seems like 99 times out of 100, when somebody says, I need to see your transcript, they will be looking at it when classes are in session, right? And so you want to make sure that you put that on your transcript. Let's see, for example, senior year, September is usually when you start submitting your transcript for college applications. I should probably take a moment to say that again really slowly. Start applying to college during September of senior year and make sure that your transcript is ready at that time so that you can provide a good example. Okay. Now, that means that you put all of your senior year classes on the transcript. Instead of a grade, you can't say it's an A, even though you know you're going to make your child perform at an A level, period, because you're a mean mom. Okay. You don't put the A in yet because the class isn't done yet. So instead, you replace the grade with IP. And on the bottom of your transcript, you can make a little note that says IP indicates classes in progress. Or you might say R indicates classes they are registered for, or INT indicates classes that are intended for the fall or intended for spring quarter. So you give the credit that you expect, you add the completion date that you expect. What is different is the grade. And then those classes are not included in the calculation of GPA because they aren't done yet. Right, let's talk about how do you put a transcript together quickly to make sure that you get it all done. You do it every year. You're not the weakest link. They're not waiting on you to get it done. They're going to have it ready for college admission. Now, this section is an abbreviation of my 1 hour transcript workshop. It's part of the total transcript solution. The 1 hour transcript workshop is where I will, on video, basically hold your hand through the process of making it. Okay. But I'm going to give you an overview right now just so that you can see. But that 1 hour transcript workshop is perfect if you are facing an emergency. Let's say that your child is already graduated, or let's say it is May or June of senior year and you haven't made your transcript yet. That counts as an emergency. You go first to the 1 hour transcript workshop on the college, on the total transcript solution. All right, let me show you how it's done here. First, you make a list of all classes that were taken this year. Now, what I'm showing you on the screen is the planning guide that comes with the total transcript solution. It's one of the documents that is provided to you when you have the total transcript solution and you're taking the 1 hour transcript workshop. There's the planning guide that is included. So you write down all of the classes. When you start with the current year. So if you have a senior, you would be starting with senior year. This is assuming that you're starting junior year. By starting with the current year, you're more likely to remember everything, you're much less likely to forget. It will also help you to remember what has happened in past years. Okay. So anyway, using your planning guide, you write down the courses that you have taken. These are the freshest in your memory. You start at the top, you work your way down, you write down your English class, math class, social studies, science, etc. You can write down details, what you did, how long it took, what curriculum you were using, were you satisfied, yes, no, okay? Now, the first year is the hardest. And in fact, in the 1 hour transcript workshop, I think that part takes me probably a half an hour to go through the first year, but then it only takes about 10 minutes for the next years. Okay. So the first year is the hardest, but it does get easier as you go along. The next thing you do is you go through the classes that were completed the year before. So you can say same for things like choir or PE or, I don't know, culinary art, whatever your child really loves to do. And you're only thinking it through for having the harder classes. What's going to be my English title, that sort of thing. Sorry, my husband just sent me a text and he said he likes to see me on camera. He thinks I'm cute. We've been married 40 years and he still thinks I'm cute. Okay, moving right along. The next thing you do is you put down all of the classes that your child took the year before that. Okay, these are pretty distant memories, but you can see how remembering things from 3 years ago is hard. But, you know, boy, if you remember right now your child is taking geometry, then it's a lot easier to remember, well, we must have done algebra 1 before that, and we must have done pre-algebra before that. And so, yeah, 40 years. Brownie points for Matt. Excellent, Bethany. You are a woman after my own heart. Okay, so once the planning guide is complete, we take that information and we move it all onto the transcript. Okay, so when you're doing the 1 hour transcript workshop, I tell you to have them side by side, with your writing hand being where the transcript is and you're reading the planning guide and writing it down onto the transcript. Focus on only moving information and not thinking, and then it goes a lot faster. All right. So let me show you how this works. First, you would start with the class titles from ninth grade, and you write them down one at a time in the exact order that they are on the planning guide, so that you're sure that it's core classes first, electives second. Okay, so you'd put in your English title, and then your math title, and then your social studies title, etc. By the way, when you write in your science title, if you have purchased lab materials and used them, then you say science with lab. With is spelled out but not capitalized. Lab is capitalized. Okay. So you write down all of the classes. The next thing that you do is to add the other details. Really, it's the numerical details. What month were they completed? I will say, if we were a public school, we wouldn't worry whether the curriculum was finished in April, May, or June. We would just write down the semester, right? So it's perfectly fine for you to put May 2022, every single one. Or if you don't like how it looks to have different lengths of months spelled out, you could say 06/22 all the way down the completion date. The next thing you do is you add the credit value. Remember, 1 credit, 1 curriculum, unless it says it's a semester or they did a lot of work. Okay. And then the next thing you do is you add a grade. For the time being, it's usually easiest to assume your grades are going to be a 4.0 unless you know in your heart of hearts that it will be less than that. My child always struggles with, I don't know, English, terrible attitude, not good skills, just going to give him a B straight down. Jessica says, do virtual labs count as labs? Yes, they can. Ask me in the Q&A and I will give you my long version as to why that is true. All right, and then you go down and you do 10th grade, right? You repeat the process for 10th grade. Here's the class titles, the completion date, credit values, etc. And then you keep going, moving down for 11th grade and 12th grade, putting it all on the transcript. Now, you may be thinking, I feel a little scared. Who will hold my hand? I volunteer. I volunteer for that job. The 1 hour transcript workshop will talk you all the way through. I will say, I'm a nurse. For those of you who don't know, I'm an RN. It's true. I have never seen a parent or child for that matter become seriously wounded by a transcript. No stitches, no bodily pain, no trips to the ER are the result of your transcript. So I just encourage you that you're going to be fine. But let's talk about why we're doing this as a way of encouraging you to do the good work. Okay. You may be thinking, as many people do, I'm completely immune. I am the one mom that does not need to make a transcript for your child. But so here's the thing, you are not immune because homeschooling ends and you signed up to be the school, and your child could decide to do anything as an adult. You may be convinced your child is going to be a bricklayer, but in 10 years, if your child wants to go to community college or go to a university and get a degree in, I don't know, philosophy, they're going to need their high school transcript. So you may feel like you don't need it now, but you could still need it later. So let's go through why you need to make a transcript. First of all, you are the school. You have to be prepared with a transcript and a diploma and course descriptions. So here are the top reasons why you do need to make a transcript. Number one, your child is either college bound or not college bound, and you cannot tell the future. I dare say none of us can tell the future. If you would have told us 10 years ago that we would have lived through a pandemic, you would have said, my child, actually, about 10 years ago, he did say, maybe it was bird flu, swine flu. He said, what would happen if we had a pandemic? And I said, you know what? We would cope. We're human beings. We would learn how to cope. So, and Lord knows we all did that. Number two, your teenager has ever changed their mind. Okay. Okay. Who here has had a teenager change their mind about what they wanted to do in the future? Right? I had a kid who was going to be a lawyer. My son, who's the engineer now, he didn't decide until he was a senior in September that he was going to be an engineer. So people change their mind all the time. Number three, your child may do dual enrollment classes or possibly earn an AA. Or your child plans on a military career. Did you know that homeschool kids that have a homeschool diploma get paid higher in the military than kids who are homeschooled who do not have a high school transcript? It's true. High school transcript made by a homeschool mom earns more money for the child who enrolls in the military. Okay, you need a transcript if your child is ever going to get a driver's license, or if you're a mortal human being who, could be taken by the Lord at any time. You got to be ready for this thing. Now, you're not the exception. You will need a transcript, even if you don't need it the very day they graduate. It might be 10 years, 20 years from now when you need it. Even if your child has perfect test scores, a college is going to want to see your transcript. Even if your child is earning an AA degree from dual enrollment, they still want to see the high school transcript. Even if you have unschooled your child all the way through high school, they still want to see a transcript. You can make it sound natural, but they still want to see a transcript. You could need a transcript even if your child immediately gets a job out of college, even if your child immediately gets into college out of high school. I had one mom who came to me for help because her child got into a 4-year program, graduated with a bachelor's degree, wanted to go to a master's program, and all of a sudden, their master's degree required their high school transcript. True story. And they get better insurance rate on their car insurance. That's right. Karen pointed that out. You get the good student discount on your car insurance when you have a transcript. Okay, so you might need a transcript even if they go to college years from now, they go into graduate school. Maybe this job didn't need a high school transcript, but their next job needs a high school transcript. Or if they're going to change jobs or careers. One customer contacted me because her child was going to go to work in China, and China required high school transcripts and high school course descriptions in order to work in China. So that begs the question, are you ready to make a transcript? Okay, here's what I know. You are going to be ready. Okay, you can document all sorts of homeschool experiences, traditional and non-traditional. Your transcript can be more customized, personal, informative, balanced. Colleges and careers will see your child as an individual and not as a number. So let me go over your transcript options for a second. I believe this is on page 5. Yep, page 5 of your workbook. The first option is to get software or a free online transcript template. The problem is those templates are very difficult to work with, and it requires something more important than the template, which is the brainware. Okay, you have to know what to type. Just this morning, a customer was reaching out to us because they had bought a template from another company, and she was just completely befuddled on how did she take her unique child and put this into a template that assumes that the child was not unique. And so she reached out to me. And there is a steep learning curve too. It's not like you just turn around and like, presto, there it is. The second option is alternative education. But that can really put your homeschool in a straitjacket and end up being worse in the long run, worse education, worse transcript. One of my friends did this, and instead of her transcript saying physics with lab, this alternative education place had it say science requirement met. Okay, so from a college's perspective, physics with lab is not the same as science met. Okay, it was horrible for her. The next option is accreditation. Accreditation, though, gets accredited through having very strict rules that must be followed. And so instead of having a one-page transcript that you need to make, you might have, say, 10 or 20 or 30 pages of documents that are required every single year in order for that organization to maintain their accreditation. The fourth option is the total transcript solution. Ding, ding, ding. Right. This is the one where I can help you to create your homeschool transcript simply and easily without being boxed in, where you have control over the class titles and the grades and the credits, remembering that you are a professional and you can do this. You know how to make it official. You don't need accreditation. The total transcript solution is the fastest, simplest way to create a professional homeschool transcript that will amaze and impress the colleges. You get the total transcript solution, and you can create a transcript that colleges will love and believe. Your mommy grades and kitchen credits can outperform any other school, and you can create your homeschool transcript at home by the end of today with the 1-hour transcript workshop. You get the total transcript solution and you get lifetime access to the product. It's continually updated and improved. We have added NCAA compliant transcript templates. You can use it with all of your children and know that it's always up to date, and it does have a money back guarantee. The total transcript solution gives you complete training and tools. So if you have lots and lots of time, you want to do all the research, you can do that. But it also gives you that 1-hour transcript template. So if you're in an emergency situation, you can get it done quickly. It has scholarship winning transcript templates. The ones that have earned the most scholarships are first, so that put more preference on the ones that are listed first. But of course, you can use any of the 10 or 12 templates that are provided. Best of all, it does include the private review and coaching, so that you and I can talk together either on the phone or by email, and I'll give you some feedback on your transcript in 20 minutes. Now, the total transcript solution has 4 easy steps. The first is video instruction. The second is a book that you can read. The third is the templates that you can choose from. And the fourth is the personal coaching session. You can call me on a Wednesday when you want to talk about your transcript, or you can email me your transcript any day of the week and I'll give you feedback by email. Now, the total transcript solution has 5 big benefits. First one, obviously, you got teenagers lying all over your house, and those are a resource that you can use when you have forgotten things. Also, it will perfectly present your homeschool. It will accurately describe your child. It will save you money and hassles over the other options, and it will impress colleges with this fantastic transcript. The total transcript solution has great everyday value bonuses that come with every purchase. It includes the high school testing pack to maximize their scholarships. It includes the resource pack that has the planning guide in it with grading criteria, year by year calendar. It includes the savings pack to help you save money homeschooling. And bonus number 4 is the continuing education pack. And what that is a free trial membership to the Silver Training Club. It's free for 30 days, and then you'll be charged for $27 a month. But you can cancel at any time, even the day that you purchase it. However, I encourage you to take continuing education. That's what makes you a professional. That's how do you know it's going to look professional? It's by taking classes on how to be a professional. But the canceling is super easy. It's a one-click cancel. And if you can't figure out one click, all you have to do is email us and we will email you back and say we have taken care of that cancel for you. The other great everyday value bonus is the Insiders Club, where you get prompt responses from me, from my staff, from other knowledgeable homeschool parents who have had experiences like yours. Even if your child has, say, a learning disability, you will find the resources that you need. And all purchasers, regardless of what you're purchasing, get invited to join my private Facebook group, the Insiders Club. But we also have 4 surprise bonuses when you purchase today. And that includes the emergency transcript help with the 1-hour transcript workshop in it. The keys to high school success, which is perfect if you have a younger, like middle school, 8th, 9th, 10th grader. And getting the big scholarships and finding a college, very critical ingredients for you to watch those classes when you're entering 11th grade, because much of what I teach you has to be implemented during 11th grade for big scholarships and finding a college. And then we have fast action bonuses. And just for the until the top of the next hour, you will receive this exclusive workshop bonus if you make your purchase. It's the high school mini conference. It includes 4 conventions that have been recorded at homeschool conferences across the country, including high school record keeping, making the grades, Christian homeschool success, and options after high school. Now, the total value of the total transcript solution, when you put it all together, is $459, but the investment is only $47. So you don't have to piece things together yourself or worry that you don't have all the information or get anxious about making a mistake. Instead, you can invest $47 and you get lifetime access. You can use it for all of your children. Plus, you get the 30 days of Silver Training Club. One thing I wanted to point out is on the 20th of each month, you get 5 new classes on the Silver Training Club that are arranged beginner, intermediate, quick start, advanced, and encouragement. And so when you purchase, say, today, you would have quite a bit of time to enjoy the first 5 classes. And then after the 20th of the month, you'd get these other 5 classes. So really, you get 10 hours of continuing education with the Silver Training Club. So it's a pretty good deal. Now, we do have a no risk money back guarantee, 30 days, unconditional money back guarantee. You see, this is a digital product, so I don't mail anything to you. Nothing gets damaged, right? So there's no restocking fee. There's no shipping it back fee. You can just return it for a full refund. So when you make your purchase, there's one thing I wanted to mention to you. Down at the bottom, after you put in your billing and your credit card information, down at the bottom, there's this little spot there that says Comprehensive Record Solution. This is where you can add additional record keeping help. This is what it looks like. If you decide you wanted to add the Comprehensive Record Solution, you'd put a check mark there, and then you'd agree to terms and complete your purchase. Now, the Comprehensive Record Solution is normally $147, but you can add it to your order for only $67. If your child is college bound, if you have not made course descriptions yet, if you intend to make an activity list, a reading list, a school profile, apply to college, that's where the Comprehensive Record Solution will come in. You see, the total transcript solution totally helps you with your transcript. But that's all, just the transcript. The Comprehensive Record Solution helps you with literally every single piece of paper you would ever be asked for. From a cover letter to a letter of recommendation, a school profile, course descriptions, even for delight directed learning, even for all of your standard courses with the course descriptions too. They're cut and paste, so you can cut them and paste them into your own document. This price is only available while you're on this one page, making this one decision. Once you leave the page, the offer does go away. Like the total transcript solution, the comprehensive record solution is a lifetime purchase with a 30-day money back guarantee. Okay. Now, Tana, if you know Tana, my friend, she was prepared. She purchased the total transcript solution, comprehensive record solution, and high school solution. She said she was so confident and so prepared and said that they were excellent resources. I want you to be confident too. So, how do you do that, right? One of the ways that you can be more confident when you have a college bound child is to add more help for your college bound student with the college launch solution applying to college module. That includes 8 additional hours on just things that happen during the application, planning senior year, preparing the records, completing the applications. How do you track your applications? How do you decide which one gives you the best scholarships? How do you graduate your child debt free, making sure you check that the final net cost overall. So after you make a purchase, you will be given the offer to add the college launch solution applying to college module. Okay. Now, Jamie is prepared too. She said, with my guidance, she felt so much more prepared. She knew what she was doing with cut test prep. She knew what she was doing with her college tours and more. So I want you to, you know what, be like Jamie, right? Learn, be a professional, be prepared, right? And that's what I encourage you to do. Now, the total transcript solution has lots of benefits. I know it's easy to get confused after I've listed so much, so I wanted to give this to you in pictures, okay? If you buy the total transcript solution, it does have a 30-day money-back guarantee. It comes with the 1-hour transcript workshop. It includes the Silver Training Club free for 30 days, which is 5 classes per month that change on the 20th of each month. The 20th of each month, check the calendar quick. It includes the 4 workshop mini conference filmed across the country. It includes high school testing, getting the big scholarships, keys to success, no matter what the age or ability level, you're going to find information that will help you. All right, so now is my chance to answer your questions, okay? I know a lot of people have been asking me a lot of questions as we've been going, but if you could just chime in one more time and tell me what your question is, I'll be happy to answer it. Somebody said it pops up to say pay another $27. That's the continuing education with the Silver Training Club, but you can cancel that at any time. Okay, so let me answer Elizabeth's question first. Hi, Elizabeth. Good to see you. Her question is about PE. Is it okay to give my child 1 full credit for PE each year? Yes, 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 yes. You'll know it's 1 credit when they do physically fit activities for, say, an hour a day. That's how you know. Is it better to use the class PE 9, PE 10, PE 11, or to use more specific titles? I prefer more specific titles, Elizabeth. And then the titles that she's looked at are team sports, basketball skills, outdoor skills, recreation, and personal fitness. Those are great. They're all great. I think we need to feel free to allow our titles to repeat each year. Okay. One of my favorite PE class titles is personal fitness, because then it includes so much. If your child takes a CPR class, or you talk to them about health, or you have discussed with them anything, mental health, physical health, nutrition, any supplements, anything like that, that all would fit under personal fitness. So I find it a very broad category where a lot of homeschool a lot of homeschool mom information can go. But I like all of your ideas. Okay, Jessica's question. Hi, Jessica. I was thinking about your question about the virtual labs because I really wanted to address that. Funny story. Are you ready? The federal government spent a gajillion dollars getting Congress to research what made up a high school lab. And they found out they don't know. I'm not even kidding. Gajillions of dollars. Some high schools do virtual labs, some do in-person labs, some didn't couldn't afford a, microscope. Others had all of this equipment. So here's what I suggest based on nobody knows what lab science means. My advice is if you have purchased lab materials and you've used half or more of it, I would call it with lab, whether that means it was a virtual lab or a hands on lab or a lab in the summer or a lab when you did the work, doesn't matter. Okay. So, very glad you asked that question. All right, Bethany's question. Does Duolingo count for foreign language? My daughter has been taking Hawaiian this year. Wow, aloha, fantastic. She's in eighth grade and will be in ninth grade in August. So I would probably start counting hours now towards her foreign language. With Duolingo, it's a little easier to estimate how much time you have spent. And so if you're spending 1 hour per day, then that would be one whole year. Um, the thing with foreign language is that when you're in a public school doing foreign language, and I actually took Russian in high school and I took French as well. And it was kind of surprising how little textbook you use when you take a foreign language. It's really more listening and speaking to the teacher, and that's what Duolingo and many of the other online programs are about. You know, can you hear it? Can you say it? And then they'll give you a little bit of culture. Um, so yes, it counts when you're high school age as far as early high school credits. That's a little harder for me to understand, and I would probably lean on your understanding of how advanced your daughter got, how many hours your daughter spent on it. But that is fantastic. By the way, I don't know why that reminds me of, but there are some people that have um, that are bilingual in the home. If your child is bilingual, you can give them four credits for conversational, whatever it is that they're fluent in at home. Okay. So bilingual counts in public school and it can count with you as well. Hey, let me say thank you to Rosemary or Rosemary, Rosemary C. Thank you for your purchase. Thank you also to Amy S. Thanks, Amy. And Anna L. Thank you for your purchase, Anna. And also Melinda. Melinda, thank you for your purchase too. Okay, Barbara's question. Let's see, Barbara. Can I write fall semester or spring semester in the completion date instead of the actual date? Yes, you can, as long as your transcript is arranged by year. You know, ninth grade classes go here, spring semester or fall semester. Yes, you can totally do that. One thing is you have lots of leeway to do it your way when you're homeschooling independently. I think it makes it harder to read a transcript when you have said, when you do all of it by semester, you know, like the first half of math, the second half of math, the first half of science, the second half of science, and you're giving a grade for each half, it makes the transcript really, really long, or it's so squished in that it's too small to be super legible. So I really do prefer when people have a 1 year all in one section and only use the semester when it's truly a semester class. You only did it for half the year. Okay, Tiffany's question. Can you please explain the high school solution? Yes, I can. So I am a homeschool mom, right? And when I name these things, I tried to think, okay, how can I help it to make sense to people based only on the name alone? Okay. The high school solution is the solution for how to homeschool high school. It is intended to give you all of the information that you need to homeschool middle school and high school, 8th, ninth, 10th, and 11th and 12th. Okay. It's geared more towards the beginning. The reason why it was originally developed was because my pastor at church was going to start homeschooling, and his child was in 10th grade and he didn't know how to start, and he had never homeschooled before, and his family was from out of the country. How do you even do that? And I had a group of classes that I would give to Gold Care members when they were first starting out. And I thought, there's a lot of people that need that information, right? And so that's how the high school solution came about. So, what it has is, how do you get up and running? How do you find your state law? How do you homeschool middle school? How do you homeschool ninth grade? And then it goes into each subject area. How do you homeschool math? How do you homeschool English? How do you homeschool PE? And then it goes through all the tools that you need for it. How do I motivate my child? How do I plan my schedule? How do I have a summer off? How do I homeschool during Christmas? Right? All of the issues that come up when you're homeschooling are all addressed in the high school solution. It might be easy content for a veteran homeschooler who has homeschooled multiple children before, but it can also be very appropriate content if you feel like, we kind of had a little come apart and I really need to learn how to homeschool better for this next child, right? But it's really intended to get you started. Parents with sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth graders, especially, because one of the things that I see as a consultant is that parents get so afraid of high school that they will sometimes panic and bail in ninth grade. And so, by addressing those concerns with the high school solution earlier on, you will literally never get to the place where you panic and feel like you can't do it. And you will become confident with the high school solution. So, that is what that is all about. And now I'm going to answer Ricky Lynn's question. Hi, Ricky Lynn. Do I have to purchase the total transcript solution? Do I have to purchase the total transcript solution to obtain the total transcript solution? Yes. The total transcript solution is $47. It comes with the tools that you need, the template. It comes with all of the training that you need. How do you put it together? How do you calculate GPA? I have a 1 hour class on GPA, a 1 hour class on choosing the right class titles. Almost every question that I'm going to be addressing in this Q&A time is included in the total transcript solution. Learning challenges, gifted children. It's I withdrew from public school. All of this stuff is addressed in the total transcript solution. And it also includes the 20 minutes of feedback by me, by phone or by email. Carrie said, hello, Carrie. How do you add to your transcript a class that was taken in 8th grade? Good question. When you are arranging your transcript by subject, here's all my math classes, here's all my English classes. It's just put into that group, and the completion date, month and year, will be truthful that it was done during 8th grade. When you are arranging your transcript by year, here's your 12th grade classes, 11th grade classes, 10th grade classes, 9th grade classes, and then up above that, it does not say 8th grade classes. It says early high school credits. One of the most difficult things to wrap your head around is that those are literally not 8th grade classes. They are literally high school classes that were taken early, which is why you put it on the high school transcript. Okay. Jessica's question. Hi, Jessica. Are letter grades preferable to numeric grades? So, for example, A or A plus rather than 95 or 100. Okay. Having a letter grade or a number grade is completely up to you. The number grade should be 4.0, right? A is a 4.0 or 3.0. You can say 3.7. You can, go in between if you want to, that's fine. Having a percentage grade, 95%, 100%, 87%, do not put that on the transcript unless required by law. I think there is one state that requires it by law. It might be Florida. But in Florida, where, by the way, there are very few accredited public schools. Okay. When you are putting it on the transcript, giving a percentage is not the same as giving a grade. You're trying to give an actual ABC grade, and an ABC grade is either an A or a 4.0. And you get to decide whether you say A plus, A minus, B plus, B minus, whether you do 3.9, 3.8, 3.7, 3.65. You get to make all of those decisions. And I do have grading scales that I will show you in the total transcript solution that will help you with that. Okay. Sheila's question. Hi, Sheila. What if your child has a learning disability and is learning below grade level? How do I how do I grade that? Okay. You're looking back on the grading information that I gave you in this class. If they are doing the assignments that you have told them to do, and they're doing them to the best of their ability, you call the class an appropriate class title. You're not going to call it calculus. You might call it general mathematics. Okay. But you give them a grade based on how well they did in general mathematics. You're not giving them a grade based on how do they compare with somebody in calculus, right? You don't do that. And so they can still become very successful. I think that's one of the reasons why homeschoolers that have learning disabilities seem to thrive and do so well, because we can make sure that they're not put into situations where they're excessively teased or bullied or start to have negative self-esteem issues because of all the problems that they're having. And instead, we're able to provide for them educational academics where they can succeed and they can learn and they can get better as time goes on. And what does that look like on grades? It looks like they get better grades. You just have to make sure that each class title is appropriate. Okay. Hannah says, do you recommend a 4.3 GPA if your child did extra work and extra testing? Okay, I do not recommend weighting grades. And Hannah, that's what that is. It is weighting grades. I think it makes your life more complicated. It makes it harder for colleges to read your transcript and understand what you did. Think about it this way. Your child is being compared with students from across the country. Every high school across the country has a different policy on weighting grades. And some of them will have a 4.3 scale, some will have a 5.0 scale, some will have a 6.3 scale. Super confusing. So even if your state does require a certain way to weight grades, the kids on the other side of the country have different grade weighting calculations, right? So I do not recommend weighting grades like that unless it is required by your state law or your college that you're applying to requests that you weight grades. Okay. So the answer to your question, though, Hannah, is yeah, you can, but I don't really recommend it because it's going to make your job harder. And I do address that in the class on the total transcript solution about GPA. And I talk a long time about why I don't recommend weighting grades, but if you're going to do it, here's how to do it. Okay. Anna said, I started homeschooling in the senior year. How do I add senior year classes to a public school transcript? Do I just make a 12th grade transcript? Good question. It's like you have transferred from one school to another school. Okay. So, what that means is the final high school is the summary of everything. So, on your homeschool transcript, and I talk about this in the total transcript solution, on your homeschool transcript, you get the transcript from your public high school, and you put all those classes on your transcript just as they gave it to you. You can't change the titles or the grades or the credits or anything, but then you do add your homeschool transcripts to it. Okay, all of the classes that you took then. So let me say really quickly, thank you to Gina M. Thank you, Gina. Thank you to Sarah G. Thank you, Sarah. And also thank you to Michelle C. Thank you, Michelle. Alrighty, let's see. Anita says, my daughter takes about 8 or 9 hours per week doing dance and vocal and acting classes per week. Can I make that an elective somehow? Would it be PE? I've only called it PE so far. Okay, let's talk about fine art. If your child loves music, art, theater, or dance, you need to listen up. When I was in high school, I had friends that were in choir with me who also did band and orchestra every single year. Those friends would have 1 credit of band, 1 credit of choir, 1 credit of orchestra every single year of high school. Another one of them also did jewelry making every single year of high school. So that's like 4 credits of fine art every year. You still have to get your core classes done, but you can put all of that information on the transcript. So, what you need to be doing is deciding for yourself, okay, how are we going to be dividing this up? Sometimes it's as easy as looking at, are you taking lessons, right? If you're taking lessons, let's say my child did piano. I'm a little more comfortable with piano lessons, and was pretty advanced with classical piano. And so his teacher said, you have to practice your piano for an hour a day. Now, did he always? No, but sometimes it was 3 hours a day. And so I just decided I was going to give credit based on how many hours he was supposed to be practicing. And so I gave him 1 credit of piano for every single year. Now, dance is a PE. It is physical exercise. It can be counted as PE. But vocal and acting are really not PE. Vocal and acting, depending on what they're learning, might actually both be a theater credit. And so it could be theater. So I do talk about that in creating transcripts for your unique child, which is part of the total transcript solution, because there are people that are very artistic, and for them, it makes sense to really talk it through. So I think what I would do is the sticky note strategy that is in the book learning that you will get in the total transcript solution. In the sticky note strategy, you'd make 1 sticky note for each experience, 1 for dance, 1 for vocal, 1 for acting. And you write down, like, what subject might it be? Well, it could be PE, it could be theater, it could be music, something like that. Then you write down how many hours just on that one thing. And then by having all these different sticky notes for each thing that they've done, you can then group them together until you have piles that are worth 1 credit. That's actually very effective for unschooling families, making sticky notes for all the things that they did, grouping them together. It's very effective for 4-H, Boy Scouts, scouting. You take all the badges, all your 4-H projects, you group them together. And then when you have a group that's big enough for a credit or a half a credit, you put that aside. Jessica's question, should grades for dual enrollment or honors classes be weighted? I do not recommend weighting grades unless it is required by your state law, which I believe is only South Carolina at this point. You don't need to weight it, but you can. It's an option, and you can do that if you want to. I do recommend weighting grades if your college requests that you weight it. Okay. Alrighty. So let me say thank you to Debbie S. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you to Krista S. Thank you, Krista. I hope it's very effective for you. Thank you to Sandra F. Sandra, thank you. And Tiffany R, thank you for your purchase today, Tiffany. Hey, if you are hesitating about making a purchase, would you mind just chiming in on chat and just asking me a question about what it is that you're hesitating about? Because I'd love to address that. So, for example, if you're worried about the $27 a month with the Silver Training Club, just a quick reminder that you can cancel that at any time, but you still get the 30 days free, which is 10 full classes of continuing education, which is super helpful. Sometimes people are hesitating because they have started a transcript, but they're not quite done with it. This does come with the consultation. For $47, that's a very excellent price. It's less than joining the Gold Carrot Club. Other people are hesitating because what they really need is the high school solution, or what they really need is the comprehensive record solution to get their course descriptions done, or what they really need is the college launch solution because they got all the record keeping. They just really need help getting into college or getting scholarships. So if you tell me why you're hesitating, then I will be happy to answer that. Okay. All right. Let's see. Bethany's question. Hi, Bethany. My daughter's going into 9th grade, and I was looking into putting her in volleyball at the high school near us. How would I go about adding that to the transcript? That would be her PE class, and I would probably call it PE with a colon after it and then say volleyball. At the bottom of your transcript where it has the abbreviated activity list, that's where I would put the name of the high school and the team. Bellevue High School volleyball varsity team, grades 9, 10, 11, 12, something like that. Look up whether volleyball is an NCAA sport. If your child is involved in an NCAA sport, I encourage you to use the transcript template in the total transcript solution that is NCAA compliant. It will make your life easier if you only do it one time that way. Sarah says, what if you don't know the completion date of a class? It was completed, before the fall semester of that year. So when I started high school with my kids, I started being very precise about completion dates. It's like that ended in November of that year, and that ended in February of that year. That was mostly foreign language, because I started early. I panicked. Okay. So we started foreign language in the summer so I could make sure we got it all done. And then we accidentally got it done like super early, So I adjusted my completion dates. By the time I got farther along in having high schoolers myself, I started to realize, in public school, they just put it by semester. So you can just say what semester it was closest to. It was closest to being completed fall semester. I'm going to put down December of that year. Or it was closer to being spring semester. So I'm going to call it May of that year or June of that year. Okay. Lorraine is happy that she purchased and said, how can I access the conference recording? Yeah, so the 4 workshop mini conference, that arrives to you by email. So you're going to be looking for an email that has the mini conference included. If for any reason you don't see it, because we give you 3 emails when you purchase, which was super sad for me when we got this system. It's like, you got to have one for the receipt, got to have one for this, you got to have one for that. And there was no way we could get it down to 1 email, which I'm sorry. We tried. Technology did not cooperate. Okay. But in the 3 emails, you'll also see the one that includes the mini conference that comes to you. And if you can't find it, just let me know and we will send it to you again. Okay. Let's see. Pearl. Hi, Pearl R. What if kids go to a full lab science class with all of the equipment for in-depth lab? Would you just say with lab? So some high schools will list their labs separately and they'll say 1 credit for chemistry and a half a credit for with lab. I am not a fan of that. I think it makes it more complicated for you. I think what you need to understand is that the rigor of your class is better conveyed in course descriptions showing what you did and how many labs you did and what kinds of labs you did rather than listing them separately like that. So I would, oh, the other thing to remember is that the more advanced the class, the more time it takes. So while PE, for example, music, for example, 120 to 180 hours is a credit. That's true. But when your child gets very, very advanced in, say, classical piano, they might practice for 2 hours or more every day. When a child gets very, very advanced in math, calculus, literally, I'm telling you, calculus study takes 2 to 3 hours every single day in math, and yet you still get 1 credit. And the same thing is true for science. So I wouldn't make it a separate science lab, although you can. Okay. All right. The samples of success. The samples. Let's see if I have that. There it is. Record keeping samples. tinyurl.com/THS samples. Okay. Daisy says, make sure that you verify with universities the foreign language curriculum that you're using, because in UW-Madison, they will not accept the Rosetta Stone program. You know, I have heard that rumor about Rosetta Stone. However, I've not seen that in person before where they've literally rejected a student. The name of your curriculum is not your class title. So if you're talking about Spanish, the class title is not Rosetta Stone Spanish. The class title is Spanish 1 or Spanish 2. And the resources that you used might be Rosetta Stone and Duolingo and 3 different primary readers in Spanish and, whatever. And I have not seen that sort of material rejected by colleges. I guess now is my time to come clean. I have a confession to make. When my child, who got the full tuition scholarship, was applying to college, he actually received a letter saying you are not qualified for admission because you have not met our requirements for an AP exam in foreign language. And I kind of got on my high horse because we hadn't actually done French for a while and I didn't want him to go back and take an AP French now. It had been a year and a half. That didn't make any sense to me. And so what I did was I wrote to them back and I said, I'm sorry, we don't have an AP French test, but what I do have is course descriptions. And if you look at my comprehensive homeschool record, which again, it looks like this with 1 page of documentation for each class. And I said, you look at the pages with course descriptions, it's page 24 to 31, whatever, and read the course descriptions. And they did. And they wrote back and they said, you are admitted and here's our very best scholarships. Please come to our college, right? So, yep, it's true. Course descriptions made all the difference. Alrighty, so should I include course descriptions in my transcript, says Stacy. Course descriptions do not get added into your course descriptions. They are a separate document. Let me see if I can show you with this. When I collected all of the records for my student, it had, very boring cover page. And then it had, let's see, there's the transcript was in there. And then behind the transcript was one course description for each class, whether that class was delight directed learning or a core subject or an elective or had tests or didn't have tests. I had a course description for every single thing. And that made a huge difference as far as their scholarships and played a large role in how we ended up getting our full tuition scholarships. Let me say thank you to Jennifer B. Thank you for your purchase. Thank you to Carrie S. Thank you, Carrie. And also to Jennifer S. Ooh, lots of Jennifers today. Thank you, Jennifer S. I was talking with my assistant, Jennifer, who is also on the line. She was saying, the year I was born, my mom thought I had such an unusual name. And now it does seem like when you're our age, there's a lot of Jennifers out there in the world. Okay, let's see. I'm looking for more questions. So here's what I think we need to do. I'm about 100 questions behind, and I need your help. Okay. If you have a question that I have not answered for you, I would like you to type it in again, but put the words urgent in all caps, urgent, and then ask your question. And that would make it a lot easier for me to find the questions that most need to be answered, because I know some of you are in panic mode, and I want to make sure that I meet your needs. Okay. Now, Bethany was saying, my hesitation is that payday is on Thursday. Can we still get these deals on Thursday? Yes, I will be offering the same benefits, bonuses on my Thursday class, but just know that the price of the total transcript solution remains the same. It is always $47. It has been that way since 2006. We have never raised our prices. And so, yes, the price will be the same on Thursday. What is different is the bonuses, but we provide the bonuses during our class time. If you reach out to my staff, they will make a note of your name that you are postponing until your purchase until Thursday. And we can make a note of that for you. Dana says, well, my hesitation is I'm just not ready to make a purchase. I need to think about that. That's who I am as a person. We laugh at my house because I am, we call it slow to warm up. You give me an idea, no matter how awesome, and I'm like, let me think about that for a while, and that's just who I am. Okay. And so same with Tracy, who said, I want to purchase with the comprehensive record solution, but I don't get paid until tomorrow. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why we had the class be both today and also on Thursday, which is the 2nd, because we know that some people have to manage the payday very carefully. So, all righty, I'm going to jump into urgent questions now, and I'm going to start with Karen. Hi, Karen. What are your suggestions about listing volunteering? Excellent. Okay. Generally speaking, volunteering is not required by law. It's not a necessary ingredient. If it is something that your child has, then putting that on their activity list on their transcript would be helpful. I think it's a bad idea to list volunteerism on the transcript as a class. Like you wouldn't call it food bank volunteer, or you wouldn't give a class title called volunteering. But at the bottom of your transcript, where I give you room to put your abbreviated activity list, that's where you might say, Highline Food Bank volunteer, 210 hours. Okay. So I would include it, but not as a class. I would include it as an activity. Now, to put everybody's mind at ease, there is nobody on the planet that has it all in this world. Okay. My children did get full tuition scholarships. My children were terrible about volunteer work. And that was in part because they were working, they were employed by the time they were 14, and 1 day a week they would work full time. That only gave them 4 days a week to do their academics, and we just ran out of time. Now, for Kevin, much of his employment included things like volunteering to teach at inner city schools. So he did have some volunteer work that was teaching not for pay, but most of his job was teaching for pay. For my son Alex, I think we might have been lucky to get 20 hours of volunteer for him, and it was really him playing piano at nursing homes, and it was a struggle to get volunteers and hours. And that was challenging for me because when I was in high school, I had over 2,500 hours volunteering at a hospital, right? Which is how I knew I wanted to be a nurse. So I'm like all about volunteering. And when it came time for my children, they just didn't have that drive and that passion like I did. And they did have, employment, but we did not have it all. And if you don't have it all either, that is okay. So, funny question. Both Karen and Carrie asked almost the same thing. Carrie phrases it this way: where do you state service and volunteering? So, again, I would put it at the bottom of the transcript where you list your activities. Let's see if I can show you that. This is going to be a little hard to see because of the camera. Let's see. Okay. See how I've got all my class titles, and then in this section here, I have listed the activities that they were involved in. It's super short. I've seen other people that have a lot more activities than my child. Okay. I am ready to answer Bethany's urgent question. Hi, Bethany. My 8th grader took Algebra 1 this year. She did 1 hour a day on math, but she only finished about 65% of her book. Would this still count as a credit for high school transcript? So I would, getting about halfway through the book means that she would get a credit, generally speaking. I would probably not put it on there and wait for her to finish the book and then just move right on into geometry after that and let her completion dates be weird for math, right? So if she is continuing her Algebra 1 and she finishes it in October, you just put 10 for October 10, 22, and then she just keeps going through geometry. And then when you get through the geometry book, you just put down when she finishes that. March, August, it doesn't matter. You put the month and the year, and then you just keep on going through the next subject. There's no benefit of adding Algebra 1 as an early high school credit. Instead, it's better to start Algebra 1. It's already halfway done. You know for sure you're going to finish it that year. You know for sure you're going to be exceeding expectations in math. So that's what I would do. I would not put it as a credit for her high school transcript until it was done. Okay. All right. Lorelei, too, volunteering on the transcript. Wow, we got a lot of questions about that. And her question specifically from Lorelei is, what if a student does worship with students and teaches and food bank? Good question. So when your child is doing worship leading, then a couple of things you need to know. Number one is, you know how they call it the worship leading team, right? That means that that is a leadership position. It's not just being a member of the choir or a member of the band. It is being a worship leader. It is a leadership position. So in a college application, when they say, what are your leadership positions? You're going to say, I led worship. Okay. Second of all, leading worship is usually part of your musical experience. So whatever instrument you play, whether that is voice or guitar, you might say guitar with performance or vocal performance, and that would be your math, or I'm sorry, your music class, and you would give credit for that. With the food bank, I would probably list that in the abbreviated activity list that I showed you earlier. But then you said your student teaches. Now, that is something that my child did. My son, Kevin, he was a teacher. He actually, they both kind of taught when they were in high school. But I'm thinking specifically about Kevin. He studied chess constantly. He loved chess. The first year he did chess, we called it critical thinking, because if you know anything about chess, it is critical thinking, which is how he ended up being an engineer, right? The second year he was doing chess, he was actually volunteering to teach chess to homeschool co-ops, right? And so he would volunteer and at conventions. He taught at homeschool conventions and things like that. So that became his volunteer hours. But for the class, we called it public speaking because he was learning how to speak in public. He had a chess demonstration board where he would show the moves and everything. The third year of high school, when Kevin was basically playing with his chess pieces all day long and reading his chess books all day long, the third year he was actually employed by a major chess company, Chess for Life, was paid an insane amount of money to go to public and private schools across our entire region. And one day a week, he taught chess at all of these schools, was able to afford a car at the end. I'm telling you, it was insane. Anyway, so that year, we called it occupational education. He was learning how to have a job, managing his money, budgeting, depositing, banking, all of that stuff, showing up on time, having a good attitude. And so you don't have to call it the same thing every year either. Okay, Elizabeth has an urgent question with 3 exclamation marks after it. So this is really important. Okay. My son learned how to live stream his video gaming experiences on Twitch. He completed the Twitch Creator Camp. He researched, purchased equipment, marketed his stream to current and prospective viewers live. He has streamed over 160 hours. Okay, right there, that gives you the credit value, doesn't it? So you know it's going to be 1 credit. He has mentored other live streamers when they had problems with their stream. What should I call the class? I'm thinking Twitch streaming and marketing, Twitch broadcasting, live stream broadcasting, tech streaming and marketing. So here's what I suggest. Okay. This is going to surprise you, but somewhere in America, there is either a public or private high school or a college that teaches a class like that. So what I want you to do is to individually search for each one of those class titles with the phrase course description or syllabus. Okay. Twitch creator syllabus, for example, Twitch streaming and marketing syllabus. Okay. Because it has the word syllabus, it will Google will automatically search for all of the colleges and high schools across the country, and will look for somebody that has that class in their school. Then you will know the exact class title that has been used at some point across the country. Little tip for when I do the class in the total transcript solution about the class titles. That is how you find information on getting the very best class title. So it's definitely going to be 160 hours, means it's going to be 1 credit. The fact that your child is mentoring others means that it's going to be an A because they're so good at it. They're teaching other people. The difficulty is I don't know what class title, but I know how to find it. And that's by looking at every other high school and college across our entire country until you find a class like that. And thank goodness for Google doing all that work so we didn't have to go through one college at a time, right? Okay, Pearl's urgent question. Would you list any math tutoring they give other kids as an activity? That's a great idea. Yes. Whether they do that for pay or as volunteer work, I would mention that. It's a great activity. It's also great leadership. Again, colleges will ask you what leadership positions have you held, saying that you are a math tutor, especially if tied to an organization. Library math tutor, something like that, but it doesn't really matter um, whether you did it with an organization or not. So I would list that as an activity. Let's see here. Daisy, I got part of a question, but it starts with also. So if this is an urgent question, could you please type it in again, please, Daisy? Okay. All right, everybody understands. Okay. Kimberly, does the comprehensive record solution include the total transcript solution? Yes, it does. Because we didn't want people to have to choose between if they felt like they needed the comprehensive record solution, we throw in the total transcript solution as well. Again, the comprehensive record solution helps you with every single piece of record keeping you could ever be asked for, which does include the transcript. The total transcript solution really does a deep dive into the transcript. That's why it has the full length class on choosing class titles, a full length class on GPA, a full length class on creating transcripts for your unique child, where I discuss mental health problems, physical health problems, disability, learning disabilities, profound giftedness, family trauma, all of these things I discuss in the total transcript solution. Okay. Alrighty. Karen's urgent question. What is your opinion about including subjects like home economics? A homeschool friend stated that public schools put that on there and we should too. I don't like to should anybody, Karen. So I'm not going to say that you should. I'm going to say that you can. It's a very valuable experience. I think we need to look at our overall transcript and our overall educational plan and decide if it is a good idea or not. A normal high school experience might be 6 to 8 credits per year. When you get over 8 credits per year, it no longer looks realistic or possible. So if you had 6 credits and wanted to add home economics, I would probably say no. But if your child is doing a lot of the cooking and balancing the checkbook and the shopping and some sewing and does a lot of stuff, and that takes a lot of time, and they have 6 credits plus home economics, then I would say yes, add that, because it will benefit you instead of cause a problem. Let's see. Kathleen says, I've tried a bunch of times to order now, but it keeps giving me an error message to fill in all the required fields, but they're all filled in. I think I know the answer. Let's go back here. I think it's this one. Sometimes this is the holdup. You have to make sure that you agree to terms and conditions and then complete the purchase. We had to add that when Europe had certain things that you had to put on your website, or else they wouldn't let you sell things in Europe. And so that's why the terms and conditions, it's, here's my cookie policy. I bring cookies. So anyway, if I had to guess, that's what it is. If you are still having problems though, if you go to my website chat, you should be able to chat with Robin, who is on the website right now, and she would be able to help you figure out what the problem is and fix it. All right, looking for more urgent questions. Oh, Carrie, good tip. Carrie said she was being held up by a long zip code. That's what messed mine up. Interesting. Yeah, so it might be your zip code. Okay. So let me say thank you to Jennifer P. Let's just take a roll call. If your name is Jennifer P, please chime in and say, that's me. Okay. So many Jennifers today. And also, I wanted to say thank you to Mary H. Thank you for your purchase, Mary. Thank you as well. Okay, well, it's time for us to be done. I have spoken until there are no other words in my lungs. Okay. So we're going to be done for right now. And I just wanted to say thank you all for coming. I appreciated having you here today. It's been really fun to talk with you. Oh, really quickly, let me say thank you to Kimberly C. Thank you, Kimberly. And Daisy. Thank you, Daisy T. Thank you for your purchase as well. And so what we're going to do is we still have 29 people on order forms. That's what my husband just texted me. And so what we're going to do is we're going to extend the sale until midnight because there's so many people that are still trying to purchase, and certain people are having difficulty. That is so sweet. Karen, no, Pearl, she says, urgent. Do you realize what a fantastic human you are? It's things like that really is so encouraging. And I just want to say thank you so much, Pearl. That is such a sweet thing to say. And Karen, thank you so much for your encouragement. She said you're such a blessing. I really appreciate you guys. Okay, so anyway, thank you for being here, and we're gonna keep the bonuses live until midnight because some people are stuck on the order form, and I do apologize for that. Anyway, so I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Let me know if you have any trouble. You can send us an email, and we can work it out. Whatever it is, we want to make sure nobody is left unhappy today. Okay. All right. Have a wonderful day. Take care, guys. Bye bye.